So OECD stands for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Kathryn's speech and development work has focused on schools and communities in diverse and deprived neighborhoods. And actually that's what started my conversation with her and my, I would call it now more than 10-year friendship with Kathryn, exactly both of our shared interest in working on deprived and marginalized neighborhoods. And actually that's what her speech today is going to be about, what it means to belong. And she's entitling it Teachers and Leaders Making All the Difference. This is research that's based on work that was done in the UK, in the US, in Chile, in Australia, South Africa, Morocco, Holland. So a good number of countries where she did extensive interviewing of not just students, but students, school principals, teachers, and members of the community. So she is here to tell you, maybe not just summarizing, but really giving you the gist of more than 15 years of experience on what it means to be a leader in marginalized neighborhoods from a teacher's perspective and from a school principal's perspective. Professor Kathryn, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Thank you. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. So it's all about place and belonging. I'm going to start with a story. And this story was told to me by somebody quite famous. She's called Joan Baez. Now, has anybody heard of Joan Baez? You may not have. Yes, somebody at the back, well done. Joan Baez is the doyen of the social protest movement. Amazing music. Go on and look at her. And she told this story to me, and she told it to quite a few other people at the same time in the Royal Albert Hall in London. And the story is called Plane Crash at Los Gatos. It's called Deportees, the song. You can look it up, it's a fantastic song. And the song was written by somebody called Woody Guthrie, somebody may have heard of, who was a very, very famous American folk writer and singer of music. And the interesting thing about this song was that he wrote it such a long time ago, 1948. And he wrote it, and the theme of the song, it's about a plane crash. And it's about a group of Mexicans who were being deported from California back to Mexico. The plane crashed, everybody was killed. What absolutely enraged Woody Guthrie was the fact that in the newspaper they were just referred to as deportees. Deportees, no name. The song is absolutely beautiful. Goodbye, Man Juan, farewell, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus is Maria. And then it goes that you won't find your name on the aeroplane. All they will call you will be deportees. Some of you nodding, you know why I come back to this song now. It's so moving to think, here we are, 1948, Woody Guthrie. If I didn't have a throat, and maybe when I come back in January I'll have to sing it, but I can't quite do that today. I promise you I'll sing it when I come back next time. Now, the wonderful bit about this really sad but true story is 2 years ago, a Mexican-American called Tim Hernandez researched, worked for several years, and he found the names of all of those 24 deportees. Again, it's a brilliant film, you can look at that. And it's made me think so powerfully that the context of this really difficult world that we live in at the moment, and what our children and young people experience, but yet, wherever we are, wherever we walk, we can make a difference. Tim Hernandez named those people, the deportees, gave them back their names. All of you, and me, I kid myself, we are so privileged to work in the field of education. We are so privileged. It may be exhausting. We may not be recognised by government for what we're doing, but the privilege of working with young people. And really that's what it's about. So imagine you are in your school or your locality, and a young person walks through their door. Let's look at that door. Somebody's going to walk in. And they're a bit challenging. You know the walk. I know how they do it in England. And they kind of look, this kind of walk, whatever walk that drives you crazy as they come late to your lesson. And the thing for you is your role and what you do and how you meet and greet them and how you bring those young people on board. So my story today is about place and belonging. And it's not an out there story because it's about what every one of us here in this room can do to make a difference. So let me take you on a little bit further in the story. So this is how, wait a minute, I need to probably work on this mic. No, I'm going to work on that mic. I can't stand at this lectern anyhow. So this is how I define belonging, that sense of being somewhere where you can be confident that you will fit in and safe in your identity. And what I'm going to show you in a minute is some images, some drawings from my research. I use a lot of drawings in what I do. Young people's lives and experiences. So I'm going to show you some drawings from some of the young people that I have worked with. And I want you to think about the young people here in Morocco, those from the most disadvantaged and challenging communities. What are the things that they see and experience? And I have some images thanks to Mohammed. What do your young people see and experience that's similar to this? So here we are in this very difficult world, a world on the move, of rage and untruth. So I start with all the difficulties, but truly I focus on the possibilities and the joy, because that's really what we're all here for. But what is it that our young people see and experience? This image from some young people in London, very different things, the positive things in the street, the problematic things for them. This is just an image from Chile. And Chile is a very economically divided community. And the children written solo, I'm alone, because the parents have to work so hard just to have enough to live on, and the young people are left alone and isolated. But lots of good things, celebrating birthdays. It's a complex picture. And thinking about the young people here, what do they see and experience? So these are images from Morocco. Think about the young people that you work with. How far do you recognize some people? See some people nodding, recognizing some of this. Now, this is not to say, oh, isn't it terrible, we can't do anything, but we have to understand the context in which some of our young people operate every day as they get to school. And for some young people, just getting to school can be quite a major achievement. And then when you look at some of the data, the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 1 in 4 young people across basically rich nations feel they don't belong in school. If you're from a poorer community, you're twice as likely to feel that you don't belong. And in the UK, you're 4 times as likely to be pushed out of school. This is the reality. But the bit that matters is this. The school is just a building. The school is just a building. What matters is the relationship, and it's all of you. And for many young people where home and community aren't fixed, schools are one of the few points of continuity and stability in their lives. Now, I want you just to take 1 minute to think. You may even get 30 seconds. I want you to write down one word for you. What does belonging mean for you? To write it down. And then, if you haven't got a pen, you're going to have to be friendly there and borrow that person's pen. Okay, you're going to write one word. What does belonging mean for you? Because I'm now going to show you a little film clip of what young people say. It's for you to think. What does belonging mean for you? right? 10 seconds, turn to your neighbour and say, did you write it down? Or were you not right? You did. You've done it. Right, okay. Say to your neighbour, this is what belonging means for me. Then you're going to look at what the young people have to say. Okay, you may talk. This is the point you can talk to each other.
One word or one sentence?
One word, words. You can have separate words, have more words, but not sentences. Just words. Words are good. You can have them in Arabic as well as English or French or... Okay, so hold on to those words now. Okay, now I'm just going to show you a film clip, and it's for some of the young people that I've been working with in the UK. Listen to what they have to say about what belonging means to them. And there's some fabulous things. Young people are always so fabulous when you work with them like this. And then your next really difficult task is to just write down one of the things that they say that you like, your favourite bit of what they said. Now, what I forgot to say, my mother was a primary school teacher. And basically, she'd say, the point of the teacher making a spelling mistake is to see if the students were paying attention. So when I went through my PowerPoint this morning, I realised there is one misspelling of Morocco, but because my PowerPoint was on Anton's computer, I couldn't change it. So you keep alert to find, there it is, that's where she spelt it wrong. Okay, so you ready for the film now? You ready for the young people? Here goes.
Inside each and every one of us is a deep-seated desire to be rooted and to belong.
I guess for me, belonging just means to feel comfortable where you are and just to feel like you can be yourself and without having the worry that anyone's going to discriminate or, you know, not like the way you are.
In order to belong somewhere, you have to feel safe there.
Belonging means that you're a part of something and you're not just sitting around on the other side, you're not just left out or lonely.
Okay. So did you manage to write anything? Oh, okay. One, what was the bit that you really liked?
I'll go for identity, responsibility, and rights.
Okay. And what about the phrases that the young people, so a lovely thing, and that connects to what the young people are saying? Any comments on the young people? What did you like? Safety. Safety. Now, hold on to the safety word because it is really, really important.
Being left out.
Not being left out. Don't you just love that little girl with a little sticky out ear saying, you're not just left out on your own, you're not just feeling lonely. Okay. These are the things that matter. And the really important thing is that all of you can do something about that. And I think that's the really exciting and positive thing to think about. Let's move on a little bit. Yeah. So this is just from some work, some other words about belonging from a school that I was working with, which is actually kind of interesting. And this is adults. I'm going to show you some of the other words that young people have used. Now, school leaders, teachers. Okay, this image here is from research that I did some years ago. And it's really sad. This child who'd been excluded from school, you don't belong here, you're thick, you're stupid, get out of my school. Okay, now, if I were to come here, which I love to do, and go into a number of schools here, do you think I might meet any young person who would say something, a little bit like this? Is this the experience of any young person here in Morocco? One person saying yes. What about the rest of you? Yeah, definitely. Okay. We have to focus on that. I know that teaching is difficult, and I've taught in some really difficult schools. What is really interesting about this issue about belonging. When I first started down this track, in a way, I just knew this was the right thing to do. You might say it was slightly more an instinct. Now, there is so much evidence. So here is just some of the data. What we know from many parts of the world, that a sense of belonging actually is linked to health, well-being, reduced absenteeism, student outcomes. So it's not just, wouldn't it be lovely if we could all be nice to each other? It's that just think what this does for our young people in every way, shape or form. And what schools do and their practices is what makes the difference. Teachers matter. A friend of mine, an Australian friend who I'm hoping is going to be coming here to Morocco in January, has done this big analysis of OECD data. Look at this one, okay? What do we know? The most significant factor for whether young people feel that they have a sense of belonging in school is their relation. It's how they see their relationship with the teachers. So all of the issues about access to technology, we have to enable that. That's your role. The lovely presentation on that yesterday. But you, in the centre, your relationship and how young people perceive how you think about them is it. So when you wake up and you're feeling fed up and unrecognised, then this is what you have to hang on to. So this is an analysis of many, many studies from the OECD, and I think it's a really interesting piece of information. And the leaders too. Okay, so this is from research I did with a Scottish friend of mine, John Macbeth, and we did this in quite about 4 or 5 different countries. And we were asking children, young people, what makes a good school leader? Okay. So I love these pictures. Okay, so tell me about the principals, the leaders here. Do you have any remotely like this here in Morocco? Yeah, fierce figures that the children are afraid of. A few of those? Yes? Okay. And how about this one? To be a head teacher, you read a book about being a head teacher and you do an exam in kindness. Any of those leaders around? No? If we were to do drawings here, what would the children draw about the principal? But you know, this is really good research to do. I promise you want to understand things, you do it from the young people's point of view. Okay. I think there's plenty of scope for great research that you guys can do here. Because the really interesting thing from research is that how leaders think, decide, act and reflect will have a huge impact. It's the roadmap of possibilities. This doesn't matter whether principals feel I have no control because the ministry is telling me how much money I can spend. That's a reality. But it's how that person interacts. It's the relationships. A school is just a building. Just a building. What matters is the relationship. And what matters is this big word, the one I've underlined, the agency. Okay? Agency is a belief that what you do can make a difference. This word here, agency. It's also having the skills and the opportunities to do it. It's no good saying, you know, I believe, a young person say, yes, I believe I can do this and I'm going to develop all my technological skills if they don't actually have the skills and the opportunities. Now, the thing is that the linchpin, the centre bit, is a school principal. Because first and foremost, the principal has to enact their agency so that teachers feel that they have agency and they have the skills and opportunities. And if teachers feel that, you've got a chance that young people will feel that. So it's an absolutely key thing, and that the evidence is that caring leadership, and our good friend Karen Seashaw-Lewis, who was Mohammed's PhD supervisor, she will be here in January for the ICSI conference. So we know that a form of leadership that we call caring leadership, we know this belonging lead thing, is not only makes people feel good, but it has positive benefits for everybody. This is from Mohammed's research, which he did a few years ago. So, and he should be talking about it, but I'm going to talk briefly about it, which just to say, so Mohammed took 3 principles in a challenging context here, and you can interrogate him more, but I think you should read, it's a crackingly good piece of research, read it. What he found was, he wanted to see whether some leaders were thinking this kind of way in Morocco, so he found these 3 principles who were trying to connect to parents, who were trying to listen to teachers, who understood, for some of them, it was their faith and belief in the Prophet Muhammad. For some of them, it was their belief in communities and their own experience. But the really key bit is this: a sense of belonging and empathy with the children of marginalized neighborhoods. Strengthen their conviction that their mission is about school and community realization and is a vision worth fighting for. But the other positive thing about this is that when that vision comes into practice, it makes a difference. It makes a difference in really positive kinds of ways. Now, this belonging thing is linked to safety. I'm going to come to safety because a lot of you mention the word safety, and it's really, really key. Safety is the fundamental bit about the belonging. The young teacher in that video says, if children don't feel safe, first and foremost, the safety is both physical and emotional. Okay? It's not just, are they going to get beaten up by somebody? It's much more than that. And it's strongly connected to learning. And this is really interesting because this is new sort of data that I've come across. Oh, I love this. This is a title of a booklet that I wrote. We were doing the project with children who were on the margins of schooling, and they did the title, and it's so great. When you feel good, you learn well. We forget this, don't we? When you feel good, you learn well. So, have a look at this, okay? You wrote a few words about belonging. This wordle here is from research that a group of young people in London did. They asked all of the young people in their school, what does belonging mean to you? And they came up with the word, and look how big the safe thing is. Look how big that comes up for them. And this is another thing, because one of the things I've been doing is working with young people, training them to be researching about place and belonging. Because not only do you find out, but it creates their sense, remember the word I used, agency? It changes the whole process and helps the school to become a place of belonging. So this is one of my student researchers. If belonging makes you feel more confident, and confidence makes you a better learner, it's clear that students need to feel they belong in school in order to learn more effectively. Now that may sound like common sense. It is common sense, but somehow people have forgotten it, haven't they? Or some people have actually forgotten it. Now this, I promise you, this is new data. Okay, I'm so excited about this. So I was invited by somebody, one of the researchers from TIMS. Anybody heard of TIMS? TIMS study? It's a big international study every second year on maths and science. Morocco students are part of this. Okay? So the researcher invited me and a couple of people along because he said, I found this piece of information and I don't understand it. Okay? So what he found was that there was a strong association between whether children felt safe in school and their performance on maths and science. And I go, yeah? And he said, but why? He didn't know why. I said, well, because, they don't feel good, they're not going to work well. And he was amazed by this. Now, what is so exciting was, I've got the work here, is that Morocco does really well on this, on the safety thing. You've got a lot of your children, or you're in the league there with countries like Finland, okay? This safety, when you get this right, has a massive impact. So, children, even in the whatever difficulties they're facing, have a good, strong sense of safety. Right? Not everyone, but some of them do. Now look at this. This is statistics from Morocco. Okay. Maths, grade 4 maths. Boys, young boys, age 10, 11, that age group, who felt safe in school, outperformed their male peers by 25 points. 25 points in the TIM is the equivalent of 1 year of schooling. Wow. Think about this. Think about this. Girls who felt safe outperformed their female peers by 25 points, just over 1 year of schooling. Wow. Okay. You get this stuff right, everybody feels great, and it has this positive impact. So I was so thrilled when I came across this piece of information. This is only 2 weeks ago. And I look it up. You can look at the data. I have it with me. And Morocco, you're getting that one right. For some of your children, keep focused. Just think what it will do for young people. So I've just got a couple of other things that I want to share with you in the story. The first is about research. Now, when people say research, they usually go, oh my goodness me, that's really boring, that's out there, and so on. But actually, the work that I've done, and is in one of the books over there, is showing that if schools engage in researching for this issue, and asking this is a fabulous research question. So if any of you are doing your masters, I just talked to somebody who's about to embark on their PhD, I promise you this is a brilliant research question. Is our school a place where everybody feels they belong? And if not, what are we going to do about it? That's the question, okay? And so if I were to come into your schools, what would I see? Would I find a mixed picture? Would I find, everybody feels a part of the school? Would there be some groups of young people who are on the edges and who don't feel like that? What would I see? And we want to venture a thought of what I might see in your school. What would I see in your school?
Can you see?
Oh, you don't? Yeah.
Yeah. So I have nothing in my mind.
Okay. You don't know. The thing is, you may not know because it is not asked the question. But the thing is to ask this question. And the lovely thing is about researching. When people think about research, so this is how I think about research. You ask the question, right? Does everybody have a sense of belonging? You get other people on board. You have a bit of fun. You can do all sorts of fantastically interesting things. You can get children to draw a map of the school. What are the places where they feel good and safe? What are the places where they feel really fed up and miserable? And I tell you what, do that for the teachers as well. Really interesting. And you will find the places where the teachers feel fed up as well. All part of the same thing. Let me just show you one thing, and I'm going to end then on a possibility and show you another small film clip. And then we're going to end on some wonderful music from Roberto Timolina. Now, I told you that I've trained young people to be researchers. Huge amount of fun. Okay? So I trained young researchers, 10, 11, right up to the age of 17 and 18. So this is from the research journal of an 11-year-old, okay? So I trained her about, how she did drawing. So she went with the little children. She got the little children to draw what it was like for them in the playground. And then this is what she wrote. So brilliant, young people, aren't they? This girl, she's in the playground, and this other girl comes up to her and shouts at her. And I was thinking that if that little one came in for playtime, she might be really upset and then really angry and thinking, why did they do this to me? And she wouldn't be focusing on her learning. Do you focus on how about if they come and do it to me again and I don't want to go to school anymore? Okay? Absolutely superb observation of an 11-year-old about the experience of a 6-year-old. Work with your young people and you find all of the answers, and it develops their agency as well. So, my last little thread is about possibilities and about schools as places of joy and wonder. And that's what I call the art of possibilities. And this came, I love this bit, from one of my co-researchers in a project. And she said, I was thinking that if all the people that are actually involved in a school thought about it in a different way, a place where I go, a place where I feel I belong, where I feel I can contribute, where I feel what I say is heard, what a dynamic and wonderful place that would be. It's people that change the school. A school is just a building. What matters is the relationships and the people inside of it. And here we have some lovely images, again thanks to Mohammed, of what that means here in Morocco. You've got plenty of that wonderful stuff, as we have. Lovely positive images of what schools can be for young people. And I want to just invite you now to look through the prism of place and belonging, okay? You know a prism, you look through a prism, the light changes, it refracts, you see things differently. So I don't know what you see and experience. I don't have your knowledge of here, but I invite you to go from here and to say, I'm going to look through that prism. If I start looking at everything that's going on in the school I work with or I'm linked to, and the community, I'm going to look through this prism of place and belonging. What is it that I will see? And what is it that will really make a difference? And what happens if I put this thing called belonging, it's a heart, in the heart of what I do in school. And what that means about the agency, I use the word of agency, about relationships, and about the spaces within a school, where children see and think and experience things. And I'm going to just show you now, it's a 3-minute video, okay? This is one of my altogether favourite schools. It's a small school. It's a primary school, sorry, not so small, a primary school in London. It has every kind of issue in the community that is challenging that you will know about, and probably more. And the school had decided, we've been working with them, Tia Melina and I, for some time on place and belonging, and they walk this. I want to watch this video, and this is where you're going to then just compare each other. What do you see? What do you see when you see this? I'm saying to you, this, in my experience, this is what a school looks like, where this belonging thing works. Okay? You can say, no, I don't agree with you. Look at this video really, really carefully. Think about that. And then we're going to end on a wonderful piece of poetry. There's a wonderful poet called Benjamin Zephaniah. And we're going to end with Tia Melina with a poem that we've done with the children called Everybody's Doing It, which you're going to love, and that will be our end thing. But look at this video. Enjoy it. This is the school where I go in. Most of the children know my name, but I was saying to somebody, went in a few weeks ago, and the little one said to me, oh, Miss, you're the belonging lady. And I thought, you know, if I were to die tomorrow and somebody were to put that on my tombstone, I'd be pretty happy about that. But I think that's a kind of nice label to have, you know, the belonging label. So St. Anthony's Primary School, London. Okay, we'll leave with the small. We'll have small, won't we? Rather than no video, we'll have small. Yeah, it's fine.
I feel like I belong everywhere around this school. They know that I like it here, and they know that I want to be here and I want to take part in things.
It's critical to create schools that are places of belonging, places of creativity, places that young people can be and become their best possible selves. We bring music and art and poetry to how you create a sense of place and belonging.
Place and belonging.
The children in Year 6 had been working on our project on place and belonging with Kathryn, and today they performed a small play which they skillfully showed how you can go from not belonging to belonging.
Hello, may I join in? You can play your own game. You all belong to that group. Okay, everyone. Shouldn't we let them play? Treat others as you would like to be treated. Okay, come on then. Rock, paper, scissors. Yes.
The message that I want to send to everyone is that everyone belongs.
There's been an increasing interest in the emotional well-being of children. The success of a school is going to develop when the individual feels that they are the valued member of that community, and you need to offer them a compassionate embrace, which I would describe as belonging.
In St Anthony's, we want all the children and all the families to feel that they are part of a community. If you are in an environment and you don't see yourself represented in the curriculum, then you do feel like an outsider.
We're going to be performing a song and a couple of poems by Benjamin Zephaniah.
Last night as I lay on my pillow, last night as I lay on my bed, last night
the children performed a welcome song for the students who were visiting.
We welcome you in this place.
This was not just the children performing, this was the children really being who they are and what the school is.
It was just fantastic to see the real sense of community that this school has. It's clear to see that everybody has a shared value, a sense of belonging, and I felt welcomed from the minute I walked in.
They're building a strong foundation because these kids are going to the real world and they're going to be inclusive towards others.
Our children performed We Refugees by Benjamin Zephaniah.
It's a poem that it really touches your heart.
We can all be refugees. We can all be told to go. We all came here from somewhere.
It tells us that we all belong somewhere around the world, whether it's in school, whether it's at home. We all belong somewhere.
Nobody's here without a struggle. And why should we live in fear?
The research and the development work with schools has shown that once you begin as a school leader to be talking about these issues about place and belonging, you are already on a track of change and transformation.
We all came here from somewhere.